Okay. We'd like to thank everybody this morning for being here. We're proud to announce that we have put behind bars a major drug dealer that has been infesting our county for a while now. Yesterday morning, DTF agents arrested Jeremy Gardner on warrants for trafficking a controlled substance, possession of drug paraphernalia, and attempting to elude law enforcement, as well as new charges of resisting arrest, possession of a controlled substance, and drug paraphernalia. After receiving information from a good citizen that Gardner was at a residence on Plywood Mill Road, DTF agents went to that residence and found Gardner hiding under a storage shed with a loaded lever action 17 caliber rifle. Gardner is now in the Covington County Jail on a bond over $1 million. Over the past several days, 10 individuals besides Gardner have been arrested in connection with this investigation. Those individuals are Heather Strickland for possession of controlled substance and possession of drug paraphernalia, Christopher McBride, possession of a controlled substance and drug paraphernalia, Jesse Ray Bo Henderson for possession of controlled substance and drug paraphernalia, Chandler Fowler for hindering prosecution, Chandler Fowler for possession of controlled substance and possession of drug paraphernalia, Alice Burgess for hindering prosecution, Chelsea Shreve for possession of controlled substance, possession of marijuana, possession of drug paraphernalia, and hindering prosecution, Sabin Shreve for possession of controlled substance, possession of drug paraphernalia, hindering prosecution, and violation of probation, Robert Kenny Weaver for hindering prosecution, and Ralph Otis Buddy Bryant for possession of controlled substance, possession of marijuana, possession of drug paraphernalia, and hindering prosecution. And other arrests are forthcoming. Drug dealers prey upon people's weaknesses, and they leave nothing but destruction behind. There's nothing glorious about addiction, and certainly nothing glorious about going to jail. Jeremy Gardner, he ran in the woods and hid rather than face the consequences of his actions. But we found him, and we found everyone that tried to help him. It cannot be emphasized enough that if you're out and you're dealing drugs, that we will find you. I want to thank the Covington County Sheriff's Office and posse member Chad Clark, along with his K-9 Solo, the Conecuh County Sheriff's Office, District 8 ABC Board, River Falls Police Department, and the Andalusia Police Department for their assistance over the last few days. And on a personal note, we'd like to extend a special thanks to Sergeant Jeff Daniels with the Covington County Sheriff's Office and all the agents of the Drug Task Force for their hard work and dedication. Does anybody have any questions?
Where was this stuff coming from, Sheriff? This ice, isn't this the most highly addictive drug, and does this raise more concern for law enforcement and the community?
Yeah, as far as the questions concerning the particulars on this, we're going to let Commander Mark Odom speak to that, and any other questions, Assistant DA Grace Jeter and Emmett Massey is also here too, so there may be some things that they can touch on as well. Mark,
Mark, I noticed that there's an HMR-17 lever action on the table over there. What type of projectiles are those? The HMR-17 is known as a armor-piercing capable projectile. He was under a building waiting on law
Right. It was fully loaded and it had ballistic tip ammo in it.
So this could actually injure the officer.
Yes, sir. The vest wouldn't have stopped.
This is the first time I've noticed that there's actually been weapons caught on the perpetrator at the time. We find them in the houses, we find them in the vehicles, but this being on the person himself, armed, hiding from you, and now we're finding ice. Does this mean we're escalating in this community, or can you shed some light on that?
Oh, yes, sir. We've had numerous arrests where the subject has actually had the weapon on them. I mean, it's getting be more and more, you know, we're seeing it more and more every day.
Can you talk about ice itself and where it may be originating and how it's getting into the black rust?
This came from another state. I'm not at liberty now, but we are getting it in, getting quite a bit of it in. Covington County has been infested with it. We have several runners that's bringing it in, selling it, and distributing it out when you can.
For laymen, for like myself, what is ice? Why is it even worse than, say, a narcotic like crystal meth?
It's just a more pure form of meth.
Is it more addictive or more dangerous to intake or something?
It's, like I say, it's still methamphetamine. It's just a more pure form, and yes, sir, it's more addictive, and it's just a more cleaner dope.
Come from Mexico or something?
I believe it actually originated out of Mexico, but they, I mean, it don't necessarily have to come from Mexico. I mean, California, Mexico, Arizona.
Is this the first encounter we've had with this gentleman in law enforcement? And if not, maybe get the DA's office to share with us what we can do to keep these type of people out of our community and keeping our community safe.
This is not the first encounter, and I'll let,
Wait, before you switch, I have 2 questions that you need to answer. It's kind of similar to what Ed had asked about these type of dealers. Let's talk about Mr. Garner specifically first. The sheriff called him a major drug dealer. Give us a description of some of his actions. That's my first one. I have a second.
he is moving a large quantity, has been bringing quite a bit in every week and moving a large quantity, and he has several runners that work with him, and I can't really get into any of the rest of it because, you know, like you said, there's more arrests forthcoming, and I can't get into much more of that.
You have quite an array of items here. Can you describe for us the type of items seized and the quantity of cash?
I believe there was, what,
$11,495 so far.
$11,495 so far. We've got, I believe we measured out, it was like over 278 grams of ice. I'm saying the weapons and stuff like that they had on.
There's several more firearms besides this.
Yes.
Now, did all of this come from one location, or is this from multiple locations?
This is actually from multiple. Connecticut County has also done a search warrant on the residence of Mr. Garner, and, you know, they have more charges on him in that county. And I believe they have numerous stolen items and more firearms and stuff like that, but that's, like I say, that's their investigation.
But all of this came from locations in Covington County?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, ma'am.
What's the street value of the ice that we have here?
Ice usually goes from around $100 a gram. That's probably about $27,000 right there.
You said it's a total of 278 grams that you,
Yes.
let me ask you this from the standpoint of Sheriff, as an administrator over the law enforcement officers that you are tasked at being responsible for, do you feel like this community is seeing more, I guess you'd say, unsafe conditions for your officers? And I guess specifically what I'm saying is, are you fearing now more for your officers than say you did a few years ago? Are things getting worse or are criminals just, for lack of a better term, just getting meaner?
A little of both. You know, it's society in general, like, or this society in general. You know, they just really gotten to a point. I think that they just don't care. You know, they do what they do. You know, without any conscience, and really without any fear. So, you know, when our officers do what they do, and they go out and they work, they go onto somebody's property, or they're doing a bust and entering a house, you know, it has gotten to be a lot more dangerous than, you know, it was a few years ago, by far.
How do you prepare yourself and prepare your guys for these conditions? And the reason I ask that is, was this gun threatened to be used on your officers yesterday?
Oh, yeah, he was laying under the shed. It was fully loaded. You can see it was with a scope. So, the only thing that I can say, only reason that I can give, I guess, that he didn't shoot one of our officers yesterday is that God was just with us and with them yesterday.
Have you asked him why he didn't shoot, or was he planning on shooting, and has he been able to give anybody an answer to that?
I don't think anybody has asked that. Well, when they spoke with him yesterday, he immediately, you know, asked for his attorney.
He did tell some of the other people that we interviewed, he had made statements to them that he wasn't going back, that he would either shoot it out or take his own life, so.
That was come from several different sources that he'd made that statement.
So, you know, he was dangerous, he was armed, and yeah, God was just with him yesterday. That's all you can say.
Sheriff, going back to the question of what, excuse me, what other contact has this agency or other agencies had with this gentleman? And again, I'll ask the DA's office to come up and ask, you know, what we can do to keep these type of perpetrators, obviously willing to be cop killers, off our streets in Covington County.
Yeah, we'll ask Grace to come up and speak to that. But, yeah, I mean, this is not the first time this gentleman, he has been in state prison and federal prison. He's also done federal time also. So, you know, he's not immune to the system.
Is it drug-related, each incident, or is there any
Yes.
other charges?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Grace, you want to come up and speak to that?
Yes, Jeremy Garner has been convicted in Alabama courts of 3 controlled substance crimes already. He has been to prison. As y'all heard, he made several remarks to people that he was not going back to prison. And I will tell you that he absolutely is going back to prison. He is going back to prison for the rest of his life.
Now, is he a 3-time loser as far as
Yes.
felony? And was he a 3-time loser prior to this?
Prior to, no.
Prior to this incident?
No.
So he's been on non-felony charges to state and federal prison?
He has been to prison on felony charges, but he has 3 prior state convictions now. So at this point, he is a 3-time loser from what you're, I mean, if I understand what you're asking.
Right. Normally it's 3 times and you're out to, you know, the life in prison or the mandatory prison sentences. You're saying this is actually his 4th time?
Right, yeah, after your 3rd conviction, he's looking at life is his option for going.
You're seeing what we're seeing here, and there's a couple of people in the audience here that recognize the weaponry that was confiscated off the perpetrator. That raises, obviously, you know, that type of weaponry is not, well, it might kill an officer, it will kill an officer. And it's usually available in local stores or whatever to purchase that type of stuff or over the internet. Seeing this today, sitting in front of you, do you see that the DA's office is going to really be more stringent, not going to want to say more, really be focusing on this gentleman to make an example of him for even having that? in the commission of a felony.
I mean, you know, Jeremy, I'm not sure I quite understand what you're asking me, Eddie, so I may not, if I don't answer her exactly right, then just tell me.
Right.
You know, Jeremy Gardner he is a drug dealer, clearly, and he has done what drug dealers do, and we can and will put him in prison for the rest of his life, and that's what we're going to do.
The example that you're setting is going to be for the drug, well, I guess my question would be, the type of force that he was willing to use against law enforcement, will that take any focus into the trials? The charges?
No, I mean, he's looking at life in prison regardless, and you
Regardless,
can't, I
okay.
mean, you really can't enhance beyond that. And I got you now, I understand what you're asking.
How frustrating is it, I mean, obviously you've seen this guy 2 times already, to not just keep him there the first time, so you ain't got to go through this again?
It is, it's very frustrating. You know, we all do what we can. You know, they arrest these people and we send them to prison, and we do the best that we can. But it is frustrating because, you know, somebody like this should not have been able to come back and do what he's doing.
Let's talk about the other 10 people that were arrested. That's quite a feat. Is that one of the largest, I guess you would call it maybe a web that you guys have been able to arrest at one time?
It's not the largest, no, ma'am. I mean, it's not the largest feat we've done, you know, as far as hindering and stuff like that, but it's rather significant.
Talk a little bit about the people's willingness to help this man. I mean, were they part of his operation, as you called it earlier?
Yes, they were affiliated with him, and they were a part of his drug selling and stuff like that.
If this is stuff that's coming from another state or Mexico, is it traveling across the wire, southeast Alabama? Is it going from, are they using these major arteries like 331 and 84, dropping off at various distribution points? I mean, I'm kind of a novice as far as trying. I mean, is it like an industry? You know, are they dropping it off at certain locations as they go? Or?
The way we look, I mean, this particular case, they are doing that, but this particular case, this guy was making trips to pick the stuff up every week. And like I say, he was bringing quite a bit in every week to sell and distribute.
Will there be any federal charges being looked at, like for organized crime? There's so many involved.
That's something else I can't really get into right now. I mean, without, going further and talking more with the feds, I can't say.
With firearms, convicted felon, it's an obvious ICE crime, so there's got to be some federal involvement in it. When do you expect that involvement to?
ATF has already been down here.
Okay.
So I know there will be some ATF charges on them. They have already been down.
Is this ICE, do you feel like that he was distributing just in the Covington, Connecticut County, Butler County area, or was this a major operation?
This was a major operation. It extended outside of Covington, Butler, and Connecticut.
Is Jeremy Gardner the big fish?
One of them. He is not. It's not the only one.
And let me ask Grace and Emmett from the DA's perspective. We're talking about a man that's 41, 42 years old, and you look at the other arrests associated with this particular case. We're talking about kids, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 years old. Does that intensify your desire to put him where he will never inflict this type of crime upon these kids again?
Absolutely. I mean, we always want to put drug dealers away as long as possible. I mean, they are not, you hear a lot about people who are struggling with addiction, and addiction is a horrible thing. And anybody who is struggling with addiction, as much as we can, we try to help. But people who, like the sheriff said, prey on that addiction, we don't have any sympathy for them.
And that's another reason why I'm so adamant about putting distributors behind jail. I know that the talk in the state of Alabama sometimes is about drug crimes and the severity of drug crimes and why we send people to prison on drug crimes, but this is a prime example. This stuff escalates. It doesn't stop at one person. It doesn't stop at one thing. You have these people who prey on children. You have these people who prey on addiction. And that's why it's so important for us always to remember, in order to protect our community, we have to stop it here first.
Mark, one of the other folks here asked about ice and where it's coming from and how it's, being manufactured. Ice is a very superior grade of methamphetamine. It takes a special, I'll call it brewing process, and a little bit more fancier than what's normally done during a methamphetamine lab. Do we see any of that happening in the state of Alabama that you're aware of?
I have personally haven't seen any of the labs set up to manufacture that. No, sir.
It does take a higher sophistication
Right,
of it.
most of this is being brought in, yes.
Can I just add something just as a background? This all was initiated with a traffic stop, right? Or was?
Yeah, could somebody take us through, like, it started here, we went to X, and we don't have to know every intricate detail, but obviously it started with something. And then all of a sudden, the guy's under a house or behind something, and then you get him, and it leads to everything else.
Greg's been working on this topic, let me let him address that.
This is a case that we've started about 2.5 months ago. We were making some controlled buys, which we haven't made arrest on, things like that. We haven't made arrest yet on. That led us to this. We had reached out to a couple of our supervisors with the sheriff's office and let them know sort of what was going on, and they have been giving us information back and forth. Tuesday night, Sergeant Jeff Daniels with the sheriff's office checked out 2 vehicles sitting in the middle of a roadway. He made contact with Mr. Gardner and 3 more of these in this. Strickland, McBride, and Henderson were pulled up doing a dope deal in the middle of the road on Cameron Road in Red Level, Loango area. After Gardner gave Sergeant Daniels the driver's license, he fled the scene. Sergeant Daniels pursued him until he crashed the vehicle through a wooded area and fled on foot. We got the dogs out. We missed him that night. When we got to the car, Jeff called me and Commander Odom out. We got to the car. We found a bunch of methamphetamine in the car. So we started looking for Gardner. We received information, like they said, from a good citizen informant. Called me yesterday morning. We also interviewed some folks yesterday morning that led us to Gardner. And like I said, there's more people that, and like the sheriff said, there's more arrests coming. There's more people that helped him, and they are going to go to jail if we can get it.
How important it is to have the citizen involvement to make the phone calls to you or to the agency to get this off the streets?
Well, I mean, it takes everybody in this county, working together to help us combat, the drug problem or any problem as far as that goes, whether it be burglary or anything else. Our officers and investigators, I mean, they're out every day, working the cases, that we get in. But hey, I'm telling you, we appreciate the citizens because, if you live in a particular community or area, nobody knows that community better than you do. So I would just tell everybody, if you see anything that doesn't look right, if you see a vehicle that doesn't look right, coming through your area, call us, so we can go out and see what's going on. But hey, we appreciate and we continue to ask for citizens' help, when they see something that's not right.
Can they count on being anonymous if they call and report?
Absolutely. 'Cause, hey, the only thing we said in here was this was a good citizen. We didn't say who called us, and we won't.
Is it fair to say that citizen is the whole reason why this is all finished now? I mean, not saying you wouldn't eventually catch the guys, but was that kind of the missing piece to help you get him?
Yeah. When the citizen called, they said, hey, I think this is where he may be.
And expedited.
Yeah, so the guys immediately went over there And sure enough, that's where he was.
Were there any children being raised in these homes or in this home where Gardner was residing, and was there any children present when that search warrant was conducted?
When Connecticut County went to Gardner's house, there was a young couple-of-month-old baby. There was a young couple-of-month-old baby and a 6-year-old child in the house. Yesterday's operation at the Shreve residence, no, there was no children present at the residence.
So at the seizure in Connecticut County of those firearms that were found in the home, methamphetamine, where Gardner and is that his wife or girlfriend?
Not really sure. I believe it's just girlfriend, maybe common law or something.
There was a child present in that home?
There was two children.
And are those his biological children?
Not really sure.
And do you know if DHR would be involved in that case from their end? Or?
I'm sure that Connecticut County's contacting them. Like I said, we left the scene and they finished a search warrant up there at the residence after we left. So I've been in contact with them, but we do not know what all they found. We know that while we was there, they found methamphetamine and several firearms at the residence.
Sheriff, I'm going to ask you this from the standpoint of a money standpoint. When you talk about these types of cases, you seize $11,495 and some firearms, but you look at the manpower that it takes to accomplish this, and then what it's going to take to prosecute it, and then you continually take budget cuts, grant funding goes down, commitments locally have to go up. How are you doing more with less? You don't have the money and the involvement from the Andalusia Police Department to assist in the drug task force anymore. You're taking the budget cuts, the grants are decreasing, there's more cases being made. How do you continue to overcome those budget shortfalls?
Well, we just continue to do what we do and continue to work. We just hope that with the budget coming up, that the county commission looks at this and sees what we do and what it takes to do it, and continues to fund us well enough that we can continue to operate.
Sure, if these people that might be watching any of our media that's here right now, watching you right now, what's your message to those who may be peddling this poison on the street? If you could talk to them directly right now.
Sure. I mean, just like we said a while ago, I mean, if you're out there, eventually we will get you. These guys don't let up. They get tips all the time. And I will say, if somebody calls in, with a tip and on somebody, and they're not arrested, within the next 2 days, don't think that they're not doing anything or they didn't take that tip seriously. They do. As Greg said, this particular operation here, they've been working on it for about 2.5 months. So, we will get you if you're out there and you're selling dope, you're dealing dope to our kids, we will get you. Another thing that I'd like to say is for anybody that wants to harbor or help hide some of these drug dealers, we will get you too. Ask these 10 people right here if it won't happen.
Sheriff mentioned earlier about charges pending in Connecticut County as well for Gardner. Do you know what those charges are?
I do not.
What's the grand total of everything we have here? This case, I know we heard like $11,000.
Talking about with the cash and the amount of
drugs
of ice and all.
About $38,000. Drugs and money, about $38,000.
Oh, yeah. They said with everything all together is about $38,000.
How would you describe the streets of Covington County today compared to what they were when these 11 people were out there?
Today, it's a lot cleaner, especially in the area that they were operating in. We've got 11 people in jail, so that was a big impact right there, big impact.
You never specifically said what area they were working in. What area were these people? Were they in the north end of the county?
Well, from the Plywood Mill Road area, the Red Level area, Loango, but back over in that area.
We heard what the sheriff had to say on giving a message to the viewers. How about the DA's office? Do y'all have a message to send somebody that's dealing in this stuff and what their future looks like?
It looks grim. They are going to prison, and they are going to stay there as long as we can keep them.
Okay.
Sheriff, for those 11 people, do they have any people that you feel like they may have been supplying and they're selling?
Oh, it's just a snowball effect.
It all applies, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's just a snowball effect and a chain.
Sheriff, one other question regarding the group that you have working this. It appears to be a pretty diverse group. It's a road deputy, members of the drug task force, district attorney's office, possibly the feds, another county, Connecticut County. You've got our police, you've got Florida police that are involved in drug task force. How important is it to have this group working together? And how important is it for you as communities to work together? Let's face it, the drug dealers don't have
They don't have boundaries.
they don't have boundaries, and they don't know speed limit signs, and they don't know city limit signs and jurisdictions. So how important is it for you as law enforcement agencies and communities? I see our police chief from off over here. He's here, your chief deputy, your district attorney's office. I mean, how important is it for all of you to work together and share information?
I mean, it kind of goes without saying. I mean, no one agency can do it by themselves. I tell you what, all of us, all the agencies that are involved that you just named, I mean, everybody, it just works well together. I've had something the other day, and he called for our assistance. We have stuff all the time, and we call for their assistance. We wake the DAs up all times of the night. Hey, we got this. We need a little guidance on it. So we call them. It's all the agencies in Covington County and really the surrounding counties. We can call on at any time. They can call on us, and it just seems like everybody works real well together.
Sheriff, recently because of the dollar case, is the drugs crossing state lines too? These people connected like that too? Or do you think it's centralized?
No. The drugs are crossing state lines and coming in from other areas also.
Sure, let's make it clear so everybody understands. All agencies in this county work with you to one point or another, is that correct?
Yes.
All right, all agencies, as recently as just last week with a major crime spree going on, they worked with your agency, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Okay, thank you. Okay, appreciate everybody coming. Thank you.
Can we get an email or mugshot of Mr. Gardner?
Speak with Chief Anderson.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
I'll take care of it. Everybody,